and welcome to the weekend's edition of the Evening News, bringing you the latest reports from Indonesia and around the world. I'm Irene Sugiharto.
And I'm Ruly Sukarno. Reports from Yugoslavia and Indonesia are today's top stories. And also we have a feature on one of Indonesia's success business ventures. But first we take a look at the headlines.
The Attorney General's office issues an arrest warrant for former Mining and Energy Minister Ginanjar Kartasasmita. President Abdurrahman Wahid says the arrest of Ginanjar Kartasasmita will be carried out despite his current hospital treatment. President Wahid urges his public not to be affected too much by the press coverage on the proposed political compromises.
This is TVRI Evening News, the first English news in the country.
And those were the headlines. And now we go over to Irene for a first report from home. Irene.
Thank you, Ruly. The Attorney General's office has issued an arrest warrant for Ginanjar Kartasasmita for allegedly being involved in corruption. He will be placed under arrest for 20 days from March 31st to April 19th, 2001. According to Mulyo Harjo, the head of the information at the Attorney General's office, the arrest of suspect Ginanjar Kartasasmita was due to worries that he might flee or tamper with evidence. He added that during Ginanjar's time at Pertamina Hospital, the arrest time will not be counted until after he completes his medical treatment. The warrant of his arrest was received by Ginanjar's attorney, Muhyar Yara.
Lantaran apakah rawat inap di rumah sakit tidak dihitung, Mbak, ya?
Tidak dihitung. Justru itulah yang namanya dibantar. Ya.
Sampai berapa lama itu?
Itulah di sini sudah disebutkan bahwa sampai
President Abdurrahman Wahid said that the arrest of former Minister of Mines and Energy Ginanjar Kartasasmita will be carried out even though he is currently under treatment at Pertamina Hospital. This was stated by the President during a meeting with farmers and small business people in Ponorogo, East Java. The President said that the Attorney General has reported that the arrest warrant for Ginanjar Kartasasmita has been issued. The President has also given instruction for his arrest. On Ginanjar admittance to the hospital, as well as on question of his active military status during the time of the alleged crime, the President said that it would not be an impediment to upholding the law. The President said that the government remains unwavering in doing so, therefore no officials or former officials are able to escape from it. On the rumors claiming that he received 5 billion rupiah from Tommy Suharto, the President said that it is a hoax, particularly in view of the situation that many business people have offered him hundreds of billions of rupiah, which he has flatly rejected.
President Abdurrahman Wahid reiterated that there should be no compromise of any sort if it would lead to national disintegration. Answering questions after the Friday prayer at the Tegalsari Ponorogo on the proposal to compromise, the President said that if the compromise is aimed at strengthening national unity, he would be the first to take part. But if the compromise would make matters for him murky, he would reject compromising with anyone. Answering question about the press coverage, the President said that most particularly the electronic media follow their own interest. Therefore, the public should not be affected too much by the coverage. On the visit to East Java, the President and the First Lady, accompanied by the Madiun Regent, Junaidi, attended the Islamic gathering at the Sewulan Pagotan Mosque in Madiun. The President also paid homage to the grave of Kiai Ageng Basharia, the President's grandfather.
Chairman of the National Mandate Party, Amin Rais, said that his side was not interested in the proposed political compromises which have been propagated in various mass media. Amin Rais noted that political compromises are just an illusion. This view was expressed in his opening address at the party's national legislative meeting held recently in Cipayung, Bogor, West Java. Speaking of the possibility of a second memorandum, he specifically urged all members of the House of Representatives not to be sick during the next month in order to assure the effectiveness of discussions on the memorandum. Commenting on a cabinet reshuffle, Amin Rais demeaned its effectiveness and emphasized that a special session of the General Assembly would be a more appropriate solution to all the prevailing problems. He insisted that the special session will be an appropriate forum of national representation to find political solutions.
Black-clad masked commandos have stormed into the grounds of Slobodan Milosevic's home in an apparent move to arrest the former Yugoslav after an earlier attempt allegedly failed. Here are the details.
A figure looking like former Yugoslav President Slobodan Milosevic appeared briefly in front of a sea of cheering supporters early this morning following reports of his arrest. Speaking to a Belgrade radio station shortly afterwards, Milosevic said he was very well. He appeared to be speaking from his home just hours after a Serbian government source said he had indeed been arrested. According to Branislav Jelic, an activist from the Reformist Civic Alliance Party, Milosevic appeared in front of the crowd at his home around 12:20 a.m. local time. Riot police arrived at the scene this morning, where scuffles between the security forces and the crowd ensued. The atmosphere was already tense before commandos, hiding their identity by wearing balaclavas, stormed the site. Shots were heard, first outside the residence and later apparently from inside the grounds. A Reuters reporter at the scene said he saw one wounded member of the security forces being carried away. Around 100 supporters of Milosevic were outside trying to protect the ousted president from arrest. Several vehicles led by a white van drove up to an entrance of the residence early this morning. Soon after the van's arrival, shots were fired.
Ma ništa, puklo me nešto u ruku, pičku.
Some 50,000 black-clad Lebanese Shiite Muslims marched in South Beirut Friday to lend support for Palestinian forces. Here are the details.
Shouting, "Death to America, death to Israel," and waving clenched fists, some 50,000 black-clad Lebanese Shiite Muslims marched in South Beirut yesterday to lend support for Palestinians fighting Israeli forces. The nighttime protest led by Iranian-backed Hezbollah guerrillas who fought Israeli forces in Lebanon, 4 outnumbered similar protests by Palestinian refugees in Lebanon and Jordan, and gave additional boost to Palestinians in their 6-month uprising against the Jewish state. The Hezbollah demonstration was one of several to mark Land Day and to protest the U.S. veto of a UN proposal to protest Palestinians from violence raging the West Bank and Gaza Strip. Land Day commemorates riots on March 30th, 1976, when Israeli Arabs protested the Israeli government's confiscation of their property to expand Jewish villages. 6 people were killed in clashes with police. With our souls and our blood, we redeem you, O Palestine. The thousands chanted as groups of protesters converged from traditional Shiite mourning gatherings, wearing black, to remember the slaving of the sect's most revered saint, Hussein, in 680. Independent estimates put the number of participants at about 50,000. Hezbollah officials said more than 90,000 showed up. With guns and knives, we will regain Palestine, they shouted. Raising clenched fists in unison, others waved Palestinian and Hezbollah flags. No matter how long we wait, we shall return, and Jerusalem will remain Arab, an organizer said through a loudspeaker. Foam and refrigerator industries in Cameroon, while providing employment, also pose a danger to the environment as they use CFC gases in the manufacturing process. The UN Industrial Development Organization is helping industries to convert to ozone-friendly technology in order to bring manufacturing processes up to the international standards.
These multi-purpose foam products are made in the West African country of Cameroon. They're in demand throughout the region, but they come at a high cost to a critical component of the global environment, the ozone layer. Using old technology, this privately owned foam factory in Douala in western Cameroon annually produces more than 2,000 metric tons of foam. One of the chemical ingredients used in the manufacturing process depletes the ozone layer, which protects the Earth from the ultraviolet radiation of the sun. It's known as chlorofluorocarbon, or CFC. The Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer and the subsequent Montreal Protocol call on all countries to phase out the use of CFCs. The UN Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, provides enterprises in developing countries with technical and financial support to convert their production lines to ozone-friendly technologies. Fatima Zora Banani is UNIDO's representative in Cameroon.
First of all, to protect the depleting ozone layer. As you know, Central Africa is one of the main lungs of the world. It's the forest, and we have to protect this environment. And secondly, is also to help the country upgrade its industries, create more employment, and follow the trend of international technology and globalization.
Eliminating CFCs from foam production requires its replacement with liquefied carbon dioxide. With assistance from UNIDO, the owner of the plant, the Société Nouvelle de Polyurethane, or Sonopol, purchased the required machinery. Yungoa Mateas is Director General of Sonopol.
This is TVRI Evening News, the first English news in the country.
The nation's elite, currently absorbed in political power struggles, should concentrate on the interests of the nation as a whole rather than spend their energy questioning Abdurrahman Wahid's presidency. Jakarta is relatively free of street rallies since the president read his response to the first memorandum of the House of Representatives. Commenting on the political situation since the president's response, former MPR member and chairman of the Association of the Supporters of Indonesian Independence, R. Suprapto, said that it is time that the House of Representatives prioritize the solving of the many conflicts facing the nation, instead of solely discussing the presidency. Affecting reconciliation between the elite would be a wise response to the president's apologies. Suprapto also asked the president to rectify the management of his leadership and consolidate his cabinet.
Jawaban dan tanggapan dari Bapak Presiden dan juga permintaan maaf oleh Bapak Presiden.
A day before the oil price rise for industrial and commercial uses, fuel distribution is normal in Jakarta, Bogor, Tangerang, and Bekasi. Queue of fuel trucks also remains normal in the Plumpang distribution center, and no significant traffic increase is seen in various gas stations. Speaking to TVRI reporters, managers of the gas stations confirmed that so far there has been no extra demand for fuel from industries and other commercial units. This reduces the possibility of oil stockpiling. However, kerosene retailers have been in short supply during the past week, despite the fact that they should not have been directly affected by the oil price rise for industries and commercial uses. The price increase will be effective starting tomorrow. A 20% price increase of fuel for general use will be applied in October.
Invented by Bayer, Germany, moxifloxacin has been a new effective alternative to cure respiratory infections. The medicine, a quinoline type of antibiotics, was introduced in Semarang, Central Java this morning. The fourth generation antibiotic is now available in the market under the name of Avelox. The drug is claimed to be effective to deal with both negative and positive types of bacteria as well as other microorganisms which cause infection in the respiratory systems. The infections are commonly known to be caused by bacteria, viruses, and excessive smoking. Bronchitis, pneumonia, and sinusitis are examples of the infections which are difficult to deal with due to increased resistance to antibiotics. Avalox was first introduced in Germany in September 1999 and entered Indonesia at the beginning of this year. Recent data shows that over 1 million people have used this medicine at a daily dosage of one 400 milligram tablet. Along with being effective, this medicine is also considered to be more practical compared to the earlier generations of antibiotics, which requires a daily dosage of 350 milligram tablets.
It's increasing very fast, so I think the launching of new product, for example Avalox today, it is very important, and we as a physician always wait so long to have a good antibiotic with good effect and very low side effect, but very not so expensive.
Bargain hunters drove up stock prices Friday, rescuing blue chips from what easily could have been their worst first quarter in years. Bargain hunters drove up stock prices yesterday, rescuing blue chips from what easily could have been their worst first quarter in 41 years. Investors overlooked signs that the economy has slumped even further and put aside fears about a recession to take advantage of cheaper prices of long-battered tech stocks and recently hard-hit blue chips. Likewise, portfolio managers made end-of-quarter trades, selling losers and picking up winners to better their holdings' overall first-quarter results. In moderate, late-afternoon trading, the Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 79.41 to 9,878.47. The Dow, which closed Thursday at a level that would have made it its worst first quarter since 1960, when it tumbled 9.2%, was on track to close the quarter down 8.4%. Blue chips have fallen hard in the last 2 weeks, with the Dow briefly landing in bear market territory last week, as investors saw signs that the ill effects of the slowing economy hurt more than just the technology sector.
Student clashed with police in the town of Villafranca on Friday during demonstration in memory of students killed during the Pinochet regime. Here are the details.
Chilean police and scores of students clashed overnight yesterday during demonstrations to mark the 16th anniversary of Young Combatants Day. Students burned private vehicles, lit fires, and threw stones at police as the demonstrations got out of hand in the Santiago neighborhood of Villafranca. Demonstrators threw Molotov cocktails at the police, who attempted to break them up. Anti-riot police detoured traffic, stopped pedestrians, and attempted to put out fires lit by the demonstrators. Police Commander Andres Pietrantoni said every year the same situation took place and larger reinforcements were called for. Historically, every year there is a place where the majority of the problems take place. These are caused by the celebrations observing Young Combatants Day, he said. On March 29, 1985, Eduardo and Rafael Bergaras, 2 students, were killed under Pinochet's regime. Since then, students across the country demonstrate to mark the anniversary called the Young Combatants Day. More than 3,000 people died or disappeared under Pinochet's 1973-1990 authoritarian regime, in which witch hunts of lefties were not uncommon. Off-road attractions commonly performed far away from city centers took place in South Jakarta's Senayan area today. The audience was presented with stone climbing and car-crushing attractions by specially modified vehicles. These challenges require the off-road vehicle owners to be creative in modifying suspension systems and vehicle bodies. Among the participants was Haji Irman Sarkawi, who invented a special spiral-type suspension system. His products, marketed under the brand name of All's Helical Spring, are not only designed for use in off-road vehicles, but also for heavy commercial vehicles. Currently, he is also designing equipment to boost the power of diesel engines.
Oil explorations in and around the Caspian Sea is seriously affecting plant and animal life of the world's largest inland body of water. The United Nations, the European Union and 5 states are studying the future of the Caspian Sea and looking at transboundary issues.
The Caspian Sea is the world's largest inland body of water. Recently, the level of the Caspian Sea has risen 2.5 meters. The reason for this is unknown. The coastal population is about 5 million, with the main urban centres around the western and southern shores. Until 1991, the Caspian was bounded by the Soviet Union and Iran. After the breakup of the Soviet Union, the 5 littoral states of Russia, Iran, Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan and Turkmenistan contested sovereignty over the Caspian. Now, the 5 countries are beginning discussions on the status of the sea and how it should be divided. They all want to tap into the riches of the Caspian. In Baku, Azerbaijan's capital city, oil rigs dot the shoreline. But further unplanned hydrocarbon exploration could severely damage the environment. Oil extraction and refining complexes are a major source of land-based pollutants. Refineries, petrochemical plants and offshore oil fields have generated toxic waste and oil spills. The environmental degradation is having an adverse effect on animal and plant life. Catches of sturgeon have declined dramatically in recent years, causing sharp rises in prices. From sturgeon eggs comes the world-famous Caspian Sea caviar, an important source of revenue for Caspian littoral states.
This is TVRI Evening News, the first English news in the country.
And up next, we have a feature on how a small endeavor expanded into one of the most lucrative business in the country. Stay tuned for more after this.
After being in the business for more than 31 years, Camchick's, the chic and posh as we know supermarket, still is competent enough to attract not only its mostly expatriate consumers, but have also appealed to the domestic ones too. Located in the elite and exclusive Kemang region of South Jakarta, Camchick still stands out above other available product markets due to its capability to deliver goods that are not normally seen in ordinary down-to-earth supermarkets in the city. It must be admitted that its exclusiveness is only something that you would expect to see in a capital such as Jakarta, where only a number of selected people would enter the market and have the necessary purchasing power to be one of its loyal consumers. For some others, it may just be a walk around the area and a let's try something new experience. Founded by Bob Sadino around 31 years ago, Camchick's was an unplanned venture. Bob Sadino explained that he did not expect a spectacular reality would be accomplished. His famous egg basket story captures the establishment behind the birth of Camchick Supermarket.
It's amazing, it's really amazing.
What's your feeling now?
When Ibu and I was knocking on the door, she took 2 kilos, I took 3 kilos, she went left, I went right, knocked on the door, and nobody wants to buy our egg because it's just a new type of egg the Indonesian has never known before. So I was introducing the kind of egg you know today that was not known in 1970. That was a wonderful feeling that we have now, that today people are eating the kind of eggs and the kind of chicken that I have introduced into the market some years ago.
From then on, his eggs became famous, and inadvertently, so did his business. Bob Sadino was a natural born-with-it businessman and a people's person.
We work with pleasure, and that is why the time is no constraint for us at all, because we feel that this is our playground and everybody is playing, and that is the philosophy actually. We're not working.
So coincidentally, it's a business with pleasure, yeah?
It is business with real pleasure, and we never also expect things that anybody else make make activity as a goal, but this is just a process.
One of his key success is his fatherly relationship that he conveys to all. He describes his venture as family-oriented and that all are his children. There is no such thing as employer and employee terms. He disregards that from his dictionary of business. All in all, his go-with-the-flow attitude created a market which now foreigners consider a reason to go to Jakarta. The diversification of the business became one major aspect for Bob Sadino. As Ari Brotoloksono, the director, explained, the main purpose of Camchicks stems from three aspects: as being a retailer, being a farming industry, and going into the food line. They intend to be a single division of many products. When a customer from England was asked why she became a loyal customer, she said that the selection of goods cannot be found anywhere else and that the quality keeps on improving. Like father, like daughter, Mira Andiani is the marketing executive of Camtrigu, a patisserie shop which is in the body of Camchicks but under PT Kemang Sari Trigu Lestari. We also have Camp Farm, located at Gunung Sindur in Bogor, West Java, which basically provides freshly selected vegetables that is not only distributed to Camchicks solely, but also to restaurants and hotels all across Java Island. What Camchicks is normally famous for amongst Jakartans is for its quality meat. Commenting
Only a consequences of what we have done in the past.
This is Irene Sugiharto and Julie Alfano reporting for the Evening News Weekend Feature Edition.
This is TVRI Evening News, the first English news in the country.
That's the feature presentation for tonight, which also concludes tonight's edition of the Evening News. Join us again tomorrow for more news and information throughout the world. I'm Irene Sugiharto.
And I'm Ruly Sukarno. Thank you for joining us and good night.